Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. You are standing on a stone street almost 2,000 years ago. The ground beneath your feet is worn smooth by millions of footsteps. The air smells like fresh bread, animal sweat, and something cooking over an open fire. People are everywhere, shouting, laughing, arguing, living their lives. This is Rome. Not the Rome you see in movies with dramatic music and epic battles. This is the real Rome. The everyday Rome where ordinary people woke up, went to work, ate dinner, and fell asleep. And thanks to artificial intelligence, we can now walk through those ancient streets and see exactly what life looked like. Let me take you there. The sun hasn't come up yet, but the city is already waking up. In a small apartment above a bakery, a young man opens his eyes. He is maybe 19 or 20 years old. He makes sandals for a living. Nothing fancy, just an ordinary guy trying to get by in the biggest city on earth. His room is tiny, barely bigger than a closet. He shares it with his grandmother and his younger sister. There is no glass in the window, just wooden shutters that let in the cold morning air. The floor is bare wood, creaky and old. A thin blanket is all he has against the chill. But he doesn't complain. This is normal. This is how most people in Rome live. He swings his legs off the narrow bed and stands up. His muscles are sore from yesterday's work, cutting leather, stitching soles, shaping sandals by hand. It's honest work, but it's hard on the body. He stretches, yawns, and reaches for his tunic hanging on a nail in the wall. It's a simple garment, just a piece of wool cloth with holes for his head and arms. Nothing like what the rich people wear with their fancy togas and expensive dyes. But it keeps him warm enough. The smell of baking bread rises up through the floorboards. The bakery downstairs has been working since midnight. Slaves turning the heavy millstones that grind wheat into flour. Other workers kneading dough and feeding wood into the big clay ovens. By the time the sun comes up, they will have hundreds of loaves ready to sell. That smell, warm and yeasty and comforting, is the first thing this young man experiences every single morning. It's the smell of Rome waking up. He steps carefully around his sleeping grandmother and sister. The stairs creak as he makes his way down to the street. And suddenly, he is in the middle of it all. The street is narrow, maybe 10 feet wide. Tall apartment buildings rise up on both sides, some of them 5 or 6 stories high. They block out most of the sky. Laundry hangs from windows on ropes stretched between buildings. Someone on an upper floor empties a chamber pot out the window, and our young sandal maker has to jump back to avoid getting splashed. He curses under his breath. This happens almost every day. There is no indoor plumbing in these apartment buildings. People do what they have to do. The stones beneath his feet are massive, fitted together so tightly you can barely see the gaps between them. Roman engineers built these streets to last. And they were right. Some of these same stones are still there today, 2,000 years later. But right now, in this moment, they are covered with mud, animal droppings, and garbage. The city has workers who clean the streets, but they can't keep up. Rome is home to over 1 million people. That's more than any city on earth at this time. More than any city would have. Again, for over 1,000 years. Our young man walks toward a food stall built into the wall of a building. These are everywhere in Rome. They call them thermopolia. Think of them like ancient fast food restaurants. The counter has big clay pots set into it, filled with hot food, porridge, stew, beans, whatever the owner made that morning. Most ordinary Romans don't have kitchens in their apartments. Fire is too dangerous in those crowded wooden buildings, so they eat out for almost every meal. They grab something quick from a thermopolium on their way to work. He hands over a few small bronze coins and gets a bowl of wheat porridge with a little honey drizzled on top. He also gets a cup of watered wine. Not fancy wine, cheap stuff, watered down to make it stretch further. But it's safer to drink than the water, which isn't always clean. He eats standing up at the counter, watching the city come alive around him. A group of slaves walks past, carrying a wealthy man in a covered chair called a litter. The slaves are sweating even in the cool morning air. The rich man inside the litter doesn't even look at them. To him, they are just transportation, like a car or a taxi. This is the reality of ancient Rome. Slavery is everywhere. Historians estimate that maybe 1/3 of the population are slaves. They do everything from hard labor in the fields to teaching children to managing businesses. Our young sandal maker is not a slave. He is a free man, but he knows plenty of people who aren't. The streets are getting more crowded now. Merchants push wooden carts loaded with vegetables from farms outside the city. Women carry clay jars of water from the public fountain on their heads. A group of children runs past, playing some kind of game with a leather ball. A dog barks at them. Someone yells at the dog to shut up. Our young man finishes his breakfast and starts walking toward his workshop. He passes through a neighborhood where the buildings are even taller and more crowded. Insulae, they call them, basically ancient apartment blocks. The ground floor usually has shops and businesses. The upper floors are all residential, packed with families living in tiny rooms. The higher up you go, the cheaper the rent, because you have to climb more stairs, and the fire risk is worse. Rich people live on the lower floors or in separate houses entirely. Poor people live at the top, crammed together like sardines. He passes a public fountain where a line of people wait to fill their containers with water. The Roman aqueducts bring fresh water into the city from miles away. It's one of the engineering marvels of the ancient world. Clean water flowing through stone channels, powered by nothing but gravity. The fountains run constantly, day and night. Anyone can use them for free. It is one of the benefits of living in the capital of the greatest empire the world has ever seen. A group of soldiers marches past, and everyone moves to the side to let them through. Their armor clinks with each step. Their red cloaks flow behind them. They carry short swords on their belts and heavy wooden shields on their backs. These are the men who conquered half the known world, who built roads from Britain to Egypt, who crushed anyone who stood against Rome. But right now, they are just walking to their barracks, probably thinking about breakfast. The sun is finally climbing above the rooftops, and golden light spills into the narrow street. The stone buildings seem to glow. Our young sandal maker pauses for a moment and looks around. He sees the same things he sees every day: the crowded streets, the tall buildings, the endless stream of people going about their business. But to us, Looking back across 2,000 years, it's something miraculous. This was the center of the world, the heart of an empire that shaped everything that came after it. Our laws, our language, our architecture, our ideas about government and citizenship. It all started here, in these crowded, noisy, smelly, magnificent streets. And now, thanks to AI reconstruction, we can see it all for ourselves. We can walk where they walked, stand where they stood, watch the sun rise over ancient Rome, just like this young sandal maker did on an ordinary morning so very long ago. This is just the beginning of his day. The Forum awaits. The temples, the markets, the massive public spaces where the business of empire gets done. But that's a story for next time. Imagine waking up not to an alarm, but to the sounds of ancient Rome coming alive. That's the start of my day. I'm Lucius, a sandal maker, or Caligarius, living in the year 8 during the reign of Emperor Titus. My home is a small room in an insula, a crowded apartment building in the heart of the city. The air is already thick with the smells of baking bread, wood smoke, and the general hum of a million people packed together. I get dressed quickly in my simple tunic and head out. My first stop is the public fountain to grab some fresh water and wash my face. The streets, even this early, are a controlled chaos. Carts loaded with goods rumble over the cobblestones. Merchants shout their prices, and citizens from every corner of the empire brush past me, each with their own story. I love this morning walk. It's like feeling the very pulse of Rome. I grab a piece of flatbread, a ponies, from a street vendor for a quick breakfast. It's cheap, simple, and gets the job done. My workshop is a small space I rent near the Forum, the cattle market. It's not much, just a workbench, my tools, and stacks of leather, but it's my whole world. My father was a sandal maker, and his father before him. It's in my blood. I unlock the door and the familiar rich smell of leather greets me. It smells like hard work and independence. My first task is always to check my orders. A legionary needs his hobnail caloge repaired. A wealthy matron wants a delicate pair of sandals dyed purple with expensive murex dye, and there's a new order for a simple pair for a local baker. The variety keeps things interesting. I pick up a piece of fresh cowhide, its surface smooth and ready. My tools are extensions of my hands, the sharp cutting knife, the old for punching holes, the sturdy needles and sinew thread. I start with the legionary's boots. The hobnails, the little iron studs on the sole, are crucial for grip on long marches. I carefully hammer each one into the thick leather sole. My rhythm steady and practiced. Tap, each nail is a prayer for the soldier's safe return. This is more than just a job. My work walks the frontiers of the empire, carries senators through the Forum, and graces the feet of ladies at lavish parties. Each pair of sandals has a destination, a purpose. By midday, the sun is high and hot. The noise from the street is at its peak. It's time for a break. I lock up the shop and head to a nearby thermopolium, our version of a fast food joint. It's a small counter open to the street, with large clay pots, or dolia, set into the countertop, filled with hot food. I get a bowl of lentil stew, and another piece of bread. I eat standing with other workers, sharing stories and complaining about landlords. It's a moment of community in the middle of a busy day. Some of my friends are drinking wine, but I stick to water. I need a clear head for the detailed work this afternoon. Back at the workshop, I begin the matron's purple sandals. This is delicate work. The leather is fine and soft, imported from North Africa. The purple dye is worth more than gold, a symbol of extreme wealth and status. I have to be incredibly careful not to waste a single drop. As I apply the dye, the leather transforms, taking on a deep royal hue. I imagine the lady wearing them, her feet looking like they're shod in jewels. It's satisfying to create something beautiful. The day wears on. I finish the baker's simple sandals, work on a few more repairs, and start cutting the patterns for my next projects. The light starts to fade, casting long shadows across my workbench. But today isn't just a normal workday. Today, my friend Marcus and I are going to the races. I clean up my tools, sweep the leather scraps from the floor, and lock the shop. I meet Marcus near the temple of Hercules Victor. He's a stonemason, his hands rough and dusty, but his eyes are bright with excitement. Lucius, you're not going to believe the lineup today. The Greens have Scorpus racing. The Reds' best is no match for him. Marcus is a passionate supporter of the Green faction. Me, I just love the spectacle. We join the massive river of people flowing towards the Circus Maximus. The sheer scale of it is breathtaking. It can hold over 150,000 people, more than the entire population of most cities. We find our seats high up in the stands, the cheap seats, but the view is still incredible. The air crackles with energy. Vendors sell snacks and wine. People place bets, and the roar of the crowd is a physical force. The procession begins, trumpets blare, and the charioteers parade around the track, their colorful silts brilliant against the sand of the arena. There are 4 factions, the Reds, the Whites, the Blues, and Marcus's favorite, the Greens. The horses are magnificent, powerful animals, their muscles gleaming. The chariots are light, barely a platform on 2 wheels. It's a sport of incredible skill and even greater danger. Then the emperor drops the mappa, the white cloth, and the race begins. The roar of the crowd becomes deafening. The chariots explode from the starting gates, a whirlwind of dust, thundering hooves, and splintering wood. They jostle for position, leaning precariously on the turns. Marcus is on his feet, screaming for Scorpus. A chariot from the white faction crashes on the far turn, a horrifying tangle of horses and wreckage. The drivers are heroes and daredevils for 7 heart-pounding laps. The race continues, its pure, unadulterated adrenaline. In the end, Scorpus for the Greens wins by a hair, and the crowd goes absolutely wild. Marcus is ecstatic, having won a small bet. Even I, a neutral observer, am caught up in the victory. As the sun sets, we walk home, our ears still ringing. The city is quieter now, lit by oil lamps and torches. We talk about the race, about work, about our dreams. It's a perfect end to a long day. Back in my small room, I lie down on my straw mattress, tired but content. I think of the sandals I made, the people who will wear them, the roar of the crowd at the circus. This is my life in Rome. It's a life of hard work, simple pleasures, and moments of breathtaking spectacle. And tomorrow, I'll get up and do it all over again. Thanks for spending the day with me. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, please like and subscribe for more stories from history. The sun is going down over Rome, and the city is changing. Shadows creep across the stone streets. The golden light turns orange, then pink, then deep purple. Shop owners pull wooden shutters across their storefronts. Street vendors pack up their carts and head home. The daytime crowd thins out, replaced by a different kind of energy. Our young sandal maker has finished his work for the day. His hands are tired, his back is sore, but he's earned his wages. Now it's time to experience something most people never think about when they imagine ancient Rome. The nightlife. He walks through streets that are transforming right before his eyes. During the day, heavy carts and wagons are banned from Rome. The streets are too narrow, the crowds too thick, but once the sun goes down, the rules change. Suddenly the city fills with the rumble of wooden wheels on stone. Delivery carts pour through the gates, bringing everything the city needs to survive. Grain from Egypt, wine from Gaul, olive oil from Spain, timber, stone, metal, cloth. 1 million people consume an enormous amount of stuff every single day, and all of it has to come in at night. The noise is incredible. Wheels creaking, horses snorting, drivers shouting at each other to get out of the way. The poet Juvenal, who lived during this time, complained that the noise made it impossible to sleep. He wasn't exaggerating. If you lived in an apartment near a main street, you'd hear carts rumbling past all night long. No wonder Romans took naps in the afternoon. They needed the rest. Our sandal maker navigates through the chaos, dodging carts and stepping over piles of goods being unloaded. He's heading to a tavern where he sometimes meets friends after work. It's a small place, just a counter facing the street and a few rooms in the back where people can sit and drink. Oil lamps flicker on the walls, casting dancing shadows. The smell of cheap wine and cooking food fills the air. He orders a cup of wine and a bowl of stew. The wine is rough, nothing like the fancy stuff wealthy Romans drink at their dinner parties, but it's strong and it's cheap. And after a long day of work, that's all that matters. The stew is mostly beans and vegetables, with a few scraps of pork mixed in. Simple food, but filling. He finds a spot on a wooden bench and settles in for the evening. The tavern is crowded with working men just like him, craftsmen, laborers, dock workers, shopkeepers. They're playing dice games on the tables, betting small coins, and arguing about the results. Gambling is technically illegal in Rome, but nobody really enforces it in places like this. The authorities have bigger problems to worry about. A group in the corner is singing a song, something crude and funny about a politician everyone hates. People laugh and join in on the chorus. A woman brings out more wine, filling cups and collecting coins. She's probably a slave owned by whoever runs this tavern. Or maybe she's a freedwoman, someone who used to be a slave but earned or bought her freedom. It's hard to tell just by looking. Former slaves often work the same jobs they did before. Just now, they get paid for it. Our young man finishes his meal and steps back outside. The night air is cool against his skin. The streets are darker now, lit only by the occasional torch or oil lamp burning in a window. There's no street lighting in ancient Rome. If you want to see where you're going after dark, you bring your own light or you walk carefully. He passes a public bathhouse that's still open. Romans are obsessed with bathing. Most neighborhoods have at least one bathhouse, and some of the big ones are like palaces, hot rooms, cold rooms, warm rooms in between. Pools for swimming, gardens for relaxing, libraries for reading, gyms for exercise, and everything is cheap or even free, subsidized by wealthy citizens who want to look generous. Our sandal maker visited the baths earlier in the week. He goes maybe twice a week when he can afford it. The water feels amazing after a day of hard work. He keeps walking through the darkening streets. A group of young men passes him going the other way, laughing loudly and clearly drunk. One of them bumps his shoulder but doesn't stop to apologize. Our young man doesn't say anything. You learn quickly not to start fights in Rome, especially at night. The streets can be dangerous after dark. Thieves, muggers, drunk rich kids looking for trouble, smart people travel in groups or carry weapons or just stay home entirely. He turns down a familiar alley and climbs a narrow staircase to his apartment. The building is quiet now. Most of his neighbors are already asleep or getting ready for bed. He pushes open the wooden door to his tiny room and finds his grandmother sitting by a small oil lamp, mending a piece of clothing. His younger sister is already asleep on her mat in the corner. His grandmother has prepared a simple dinner for him. More stew, this time lentils, with some onion and garlic. A piece of bread that's going stale, but still edible. A few olives. It's not much, but it's enough. He sits cross-legged on the floor and eats quietly, not wanting to wake his sister. Through the window, he can see the glow of torches from a wealthy house across the street. That family lives in a proper house, a domus, with multiple rooms and a garden in the middle, and slaves to do all the work. He can hear faint music coming from inside. They must be having a dinner party. Rich Romans love their dinner parties. They lie on couches, eat elaborate meals that last for hours, listen to musicians and poets, discuss philosophy and politics. A completely different world from the one our young sandal maker lives in, even though they're separated by maybe 100 feet. He finishes his meal and thanks his grandmother. She pats his hand and tells him to get some sleep. Tomorrow is another work day, another morning of cutting leather and stitching sandals, another walk through the crowded forum, another evening in the tavern, or maybe just coming straight home to save money. The routine never really changes. He lies down on his thin mat and pulls the rough wool blanket over his body. The sounds of the city drift in through the window, carts still rumbling on distant streets, dogs barking somewhere in the neighborhood, a baby crying in an apartment upstairs, the murmur of voices from the wealthy house across the way. Rome never truly sleeps. Even in the darkest hours of night, something is always happening somewhere. He closes his eyes and lets sleep take him. This was a day in the life of ordinary ancient Rome. Not the Rome of emperors and generals and epic battles. The Rome of regular people doing regular things. Working, eating, laughing, struggling, surviving. They fell in love and raised children and buried their parents and hoped for better days ahead, just like people everywhere, in every time period, throughout all of human history. What makes this special is that we can now see it. AI technology has allowed us to reconstruct these ancient streets in incredible detail. We can walk the same paths they walked, see the same buildings they saw. Imagine ourselves standing in that crowded forum, smelling the bread from the bakery, hearing the roar of the crowd at the chariot races. The past isn't just words in a history book anymore. It's a place we can almost visit. 2,000 years is a long time. Empires rise and fall. Languages change. Technologies transform the world over and over again. But some things stay the same. People still wake up every morning and go to work. They still eat meals with their families. They still gather with friends to drink and laugh and complain about politicians. They still look up at the stars and wonder what it all means. Our young sandal maker would recognize a lot about our world if he could see it. And maybe, in some small way, we can recognize ourselves in him. That's the real magic of looking back at history. It's not about dates and battles and kings. It's about people. Just people. Living their lives, one day at a time, in ancient Rome, 2,000 years ago, or anywhere else on this spinning planet we all call home.